Silent Night was directed by legendary Hong Kong film director John Woo and stars Joel Kinnaman and Kid Cudi. The film is about a married couple who loses their child from a stray bullet during a gang war. And their marriage slowly falls apart during their grief, and as the husband turns his grief and sadness into a lust for revenge against this gang. The whole film is told with barely any dialogue, maybe a word here or there. You might hear talking in the background as you're going through maybe like the police station and stuff like that. But John Woo uses his unique visual style to tell a visual story where it's all carried by physical performances and John Woo's unique filmmaking style. And Joel Kinnaman's performance is straight up excellent. Like, he crushes it. He's amazing. He starts out, a happy family man playing with his kid and loving his wife, to the grief and sadness, like not wanting to go on, and him being very distant from his wife as she's completely upset and wants to be kind of codependent with each other and help each other through this, but still not completely like fall apart. She's still going to her job and stuff like this, and he's just isolating, and eventually falls apart, and he focuses his energy in his garage, like working out, learning how to stab people in the right places, getting a gun training, and transforming his body physically, because his child gets killed on Christmas and he plots his revenge for the next Christmas. And so he's in grief for a few months, but I think it's around April in the film he starts plotting his revenge and working out and training with guns and all that. And he plots for the next few months. He's tracking the bad guys, learning their patterns, where they hang out, and he's training his body, and it's kind of a build up, and you see kind of a physical transformation throughout the film leading up to the fireworks on Christmas night. The film has been getting lukewarm reviews because people are saying that they enjoy it, but they feel like it's slow at some parts. And I think the problem is a lot of people were hoping for something like John Wick, or even some of John Woo's like Hong Kong classics, where there's a lot of shoot 'em up fight scenes throughout the film. Whereas this one, there's kind of the opening that's kind of action-packed that sets the stage. It's the inciting incident, and then after that there's like the performances, the physical performances, all the grief and everything they're going through. So the first act kind of is the setup, the inciting incident, and the second act is the whole kind of build up to the Silent Night revenge night, where it's him training, tracking, transforming physically. And so there's kind of a 3-act thing, and there's like a build up to all the action and the revenge. And once you get there, even, it's not like he does this training for a couple months and then he's like John Wick. Thank goodness. Like, once it gets to him getting his revenge, he struggles. Like, he gets his ass kicked. I mean, he's going through it. And none of it's easy. All his training definitely like helped, but it's not like perfect and not easy, and he definitely loses and gets injured a lot. Kid Cudi plays a cop that was part of the case with his son and the gang and the stray bullet, and he feels like the cop didn't do enough, like the police aren't doing enough, so he's kind of taken things into his own hands. But Kid Cudi comes into play much later. He's just kind of a side character at first that was a cop part of the investigation, but he becomes more important later on. But I don't want to give too much away. I'm somewhat being spoilery, but I'm not trying to give away the whole thing. But I want people to know, because this movie, it's not for everyone, because most people are going thinking it's gonna be like action packed like throughout, but it's like you gotta like be into the character journey basically leading up to that. The first 2 acts are more of a silent character study performed, through physical acting, where it's not like that deep of a character study, but it's a fun and interesting character study that's told like visually, through John Woo's style and physically. And I think the movie works. A lot of people think it's like a gimmick, that it's like, but I think it actually works, because without the dialogue, I was actually more absorbed and immersed in the film, and just watching his style and the way he's transitioning from scene to scene and using the emotion to carry you. I was engaged the whole time and just absorbed and sucked in, and I was loving it. And I didn't mind that it kind of was a inciting incident, and then a whole like training and journey, and then all the fireworks at the end. Like I was loving it. I actually liked the structure of the film. And that it did something more risky, and wasn't trying to pander to the ADD generation or anything like that. And that it feels like a movie. Joel Kinnaman produced it, and so I feel like everyone involved was really passionate about it. And you don't see a movie made by like an actual classic filmmaking auteur like John Woo doing like a project he's passionate and a bunch of people on the project are passionate about, and it just feels that they're trying to make the best product possible. Film, like that's corporate speak, screw that. Because it's more than that. Like, this is an actual real film by a real filmmaker, and it just felt good to go see something like that. That was a real film by a real film, and it's actually like really good. Like, he hasn't done many shoot 'em up like his classic films in modern day, and the fact that we got another one where he made it a little bit more grounded and not just like non-stop action throughout. He was a little like more reserved, but in a good way, because even with his style, like he's known for like freeze frames, he pioneered slow-mo and action scenes, and he does like these different like crossfades and all this kind of stuff. And he utilized it well in the film, and he didn't overdo it. I feel like Hollywood trying to emulate him tends to overdo it, and like, for instance, Zack Snyder will have like a whole fight scene in slow motion that's like an alt-rock music video or something. But John Woo uses his style just the right amount here. He doesn't overdo it and just uses it in different parts to emphasize different shots, different scenes, different emotions, and stuff like that. And I really appreciate it. I thought it was like fantastic, and I feel like this movie's underrated, and people are just kind of like too easily bored if there's not a lot of just constant fan service and action happening. But I feel like this movie's so engaging. If you're into the story and the character and the acting, kind of the physical acting and the directing style, to me, like, carries it and immerses me. And I find it just leading, kind of saving it all for like the end is really satisfying. And you get to see John Woo really get to have a lot of fun once we get to those ending sequences with his style and with the action. And it's a whole lot of fun, so I give this movie a high recommend. It was great to go see a new John Woo movie. It still blows my mind that I just went to the theater to see a new John Woo movie. And so I give it a recommend, but only if you're okay with there not being constant action throughout, that it's kind of a build-up, a character study and build-up, leading up to a bunch of cool action and all this kind of stuff. But I think the stuff that isn't action is really compelling and fun and interesting to watch, and I wasn't bored at all through the whole thing. But some people are, so I'm putting that warning out there and not just trying to praise. And I'm not just some John Woo shill, even though I love John Woo and talk a lot about him. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Paycheck, and his last modern shoot-'em-up, Manhunt, on Netflix. I only watched once. I remember not being that into it. There was parts I liked, but I was like... but I think there's a big gap between his shoot-'em-ups of the 80s and 90s and now the thousands. And now he's using more digital technology, and I think that was jarring, going from like film and practical to some more digital ways of emphasizing his style, and I think I wasn't kind of used to modern John Woo when watching Manhunt, and so I really want to reevaluate that film now that I've watched Silent Night. So I'm going to be reevaluating that Manhunt on Netflix, because maybe it's better than I actually give it credit for, but there are some John Woo films I'm just like, meh, but actually the majority of them I'm a real big fan of. And Red Cliff It's like a 5-hour like war epic film that like is so easy. It's an easy watch. It's one of the easiest 5-hour movie watches I've ever experienced. My favorite film is probably The Killer. But of course, like my favorite one to watch is Hard Boiled, but I also love A Better Tomorrow 1 and 2, of course, and all that stuff. Bullet in the Head is amazing. And of course, like Face Off, Hard Target are fun as hell. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope if you're interested in this film, you enjoy it. If not, but it's cool. But yeah, you guys have a good one. I'll talk to you later.